long time ago. Town of Flora has one hooked on the back of that.
On the back of it.
Well, not on the one you
On
gave
the-
me, but on the one I gave you. And so I just wanted you to be aware of it. Nobody's here to present it or anything. I just wanted you to be aware of
It's
it.
not on the back of this either,
It's on the one I gave you.
in the folder. Well, we probably lost that one, Beth. Don't tell him.
But it's just for your review. Or just so you have it on hand, in hand, I guess.
Oh, that's for the A.
Well, our money is in this fund, I'm gonna talk about it a little bit here later because of the meeting we had. It certainly doesn't cover all at once, so
No.
it seems like a fortune until you start dividing it up everywhere.
We also have one from Penny. I just started making a list, so, reporter, but I was waiting on for us to work on the plan, so.
I think we need to form a committee. Form a committee for tonight.
Well, that's not on the agenda today. so
I know,
let's move
but
on.
maybe we'll put that on the next meeting again.
Okay, so we are ready for hearing. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here about the 4-H building and the Fourth Floor Community Club. I just wanted to touch base with you and kind of get a little direction from you. You might recall, you know that the Floor Community Club leases the building, and then we have improvement, we're responsible for maintenance and general upkeep and use of the building. You might recall that there have been 2 previous insurance claims for the HVAC systems because of damage. Yeah, that's been taken care of. Well, there's one more HVAC unit that, has not had any significant improvements or repairs done to it, and it needs to be replaced. I'm here today to let you know that the community club is willing to go ahead and pay for that, but we weren't sure kind of where we stood, because technically we don't have authority over fixtures. We just have authority over normal routine maintenance, updates, and the stuff in the building. So, I just came to get your permission or thoughts on what to do with that.
You know how old that building is, off the top of my head?
About 35 years, and it's the
And the original.
original AC unit she's talking about.
Yes.
When, on your guys' pricing, was it or so?
We're thinking around $3,500.
And it does the kitchen, the small office area, and the bathrooms.
On the west end.
That's just to place the outside unit? Wouldn't say that's not the whole furnace and AC?
Yes, it's a furnace and AC.
For 3,500?
You're replacing the inside furnace unit too with gas. Isn't that, it's a gas furnace, and outside AC unit.
What she said.
3,500.
But that furnace also controls the whole 4-H building.
Yes,
The
yes.
AC for the west end and the east end and the main portion are the separate units that have already been replaced in the other property.
I got it for my house, it was $9,000.
I don't know, but
So 3,600 BTU condensing unit, 3,600 BTU evaporator coil, existing. Sorry, I didn't bring my glasses to read this. Let's see, existing duct for that, unit and electrical
we have to have motor grade in here.
Yes.
And you guys are willing to pay for it, you just need our blessing.
Yes.
I don't know where in here.
That doesn't happen.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to allow them to replace it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Can you advise who's doing the work?
We'll probably have Climatech do it since they take care of all of our maintenance and
Okay.
upgrades.
All right. Right there, in town. That was quick.
Judge, but he's not here.
He's not scheduled for another.
Well, that's probably why he's not here.
Yeah.
Carroll Manor land contract.
Lauren asked to put that on.
Correct.
Is this valuations here I have? Is that it?
No, that's the survey for the easement.
It's the
Yeah.
land,
It's the farmer.
Oh, the farmer, okay.
Yeah.
Just the ground.
I don't know if we'll even break ground this year, will we?
No. There's no way.
Our contract's through how long? It's been for 1 year.
1 year contracts because of this, because of the jail project.
Through this year?
Well, might as well get some use out of it while it's sitting there. Just let it grow, then we'd have to mow it. Knock it down.
Seventeen?
I don't know, I don't remember.
I was like 16.
17, something like
Yeah,
that.
close to 17. I'm gonna make a motion to go ahead and release it out to the farmer. Right.
That's the same as last year?
Yep.
You gonna second that motion?
Oh, yeah, I'll say it.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second that we will lease the ground this year at the same rate as last year. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Okay. Right. And we'll just have to, let's see, other business, do we have anything else that's other to bring up?
This is your time to shine, Toby. You don't wanna stand up. You got other business?
Just numbers. We currently have 42 in our jail with 16 out. Over the week- over
You
the
open up the
weekend,
sign?
over the
Vacancies?
week- over the weekend, we had 46. So we were 62 total. This morning, we're at 58. So,
I think your commendations.
42 in and 16 out.
correct.
We've got 58 altogether.
Right.
What are we paying for being holding out?
$37.50 per day per individual.
We're paying $600 a day for them to be held out of county.
$18,000 a year, a month.
Yeah.
Times 12 would be $200,000.
Yeah, 216,000.
That's, well,
If they hold that many, that's most we've had out in a while though, isn't it, 16?
Yeah, we're actually looking to, potentially transfer more out so we can get closer to our 34 number. So that number could easily, as I've said numerous times, that number is fluid, it changes daily. So,
well, I talked to the prosecutor last week, and he said that, you know, it's pretty critical. And that, he said it seems like a lot of times before they get one of them charged, or before they get a person charged and through everything, they've already committed another one or two. So,
It's a non-Indian rifle. Yep.
I wanted to report to you gentlemen on 2 meetings that I attended on Thursday. Because it was very informative, and I wish that we could have all three been there, should have. First of all, I'll tell you that those in attendance were Scott Ayers and I, and Ted, and Toad, and Beth, we had Jake Adams there, well, part of it, Jake was there, but the broadband part of it. We had Rick Hall from Barnes and Thornburg, and we had another gentleman from Barnes
Matt
and Thornburg. Huh?
Matt Eckerly.
Matt Eckerly.
Oh, and, from,
No, he's not from Barnes and Thornburg.
Dustin, Meeks. Dustin Meeks.
Justin,
Dustin.
Dustin.
From Barnes
What's the
and Thornburg.
last name?
Meeks, M-E-E-K-S.
Okay. I didn't get his name down. We had Mac Eckerly from Baker Tilly, and we had Rich Taylor and Joe Brzezinski from Envoy, which I can copy things for you from them. They were talking in terms of BOT, build, operate, and transfer. And we had Greg Whaley from Elavadas, and we also had Mr. Lloyd from the council for the,
Council attorney?
yeah, for the council. Yeah, the council for the council, yeah, the attorney for the council. Rich Taylor, who was the gentleman from, Envoy, talked pretty good time about build, operate, transfer. And Ted, correct me if I say anything here. He emphasized that that is not a mechanism for financing. That's often misconstrued, that it is a more of a procurement, aid than it is anything else. And he went on to say that what he meant by that was, okay, you know, we've gone through the bid process. Well, if we went to a build, operate, transfer, actually, they own the building. Scott, you correct me too if I'm wrong a minute here. They own the building during the time it's being built. And so the contractors and all that work for, the BOT operator. And, so they're not required to go to bidding on everything. So they can, say you have a list of electricians that you're going to request, an RFP from. They can go to them individually, and they can, if there's one that they really like, they can say, openly to them, well, this guy's underbid you, you're gonna have to come back and look through this and drop your bid down, because we won't take it if it's too high. Which we can't do if we're open, just taking open bids, we just gotta take what comes in. That was, and then they do the property management of it, they do the construction management of it. And, from those standpoints, it seemed like, you know, okay, I can understand how this could be a good thing. He also though said, now he wanted to be fair, and there are some downsides to it. One of them is that, well, he emphasized that the, cost basically, after you get done with the bonding and the, design of the building, the cost basically come down to three items: labor, materials, and duration. The quicker you can get it built, the better you're off. It can lead, though, to cheaper materials, corner cutting, and less skilled labor. You know, if my cousin's an electrician, I may want to put him on it, and he may not be qualified to do it at all, you know, or handle it. If I'm the BOT operator. But if you have somebody you can run into that with about any position you deal with, you know? That if you have the right person who you have trust in and that is ethical, you shouldn't have to worry that much about that, about the cheaper materials and all that. Now, one thing I have thought about is that he said that what they're doing most of the time is, at the completion of the contract, it's only the construction, it's only 30 days until it's done. They transfer the building over to you in 30 days. That's good and that's bad. You know, you get your building, it's yours, they're done, they're gone. But on the other hand, if they had to hold that building for 10 years, they might be more concerned about how it's built. They had to do the repairs on it and fix it. So, you know, you can look at that either way there. He said that, we definitely should, I have to check some stuff off here, because I'm reading the same thing in my mind over and over. Definitely should consider, as soon as we get, to the places we can, which would be designs all done, we've hired, whether we're gonna do BOT or not, we know what we've either taken bids or gone BOT. Jump in right away and buy your cells and the steel building. Because those take a long time to get, they're the ones that hold up the process a lot, and the price is only going up. So he said, buy the cells and the building right away. Now, the building is supposed to be, 125 by 240 that we're looking at out there, or 30,000 square feet.
On which design? We got the new one where they said they had the prefab, or we're gonna go with the original design that we had?
We can't go with the original design, I don't think, because it's gonna be way over what we have money. So what they were talking about was the prefab
Prefab.
steel building, put up on the outside. I think I've covered, anything I should say about what either one of you that he said about BOT? I think I've got the salient points to that. I'm gonna pause right now in my discussion, because we have the judge here right now. You might as well come right on up. I know your schedule's tight, we'll just let you take the floor.
Try to sneak in here.
Not walking right into the dungeon.
That's right. Thanks, everybody. Good morning. The request was to have permission to place somewhere either on the first, hopefully on the first floor, but if not on the second floor, a kiosk, which is upstairs in the courtroom if anybody wants to see it. It's probably this wide. It has a touch screen on it. We've got 4 of them that was part of the grant that we placed around the county. One's in the Burlington Town Hall, one's in the Florida Town Hall, one's in the sheriff's office, and one's in the courthouse. It'll allow low-level offenders from probation or community corrections to check in on there. This summer, we hope to add or not hope, but they'll have the ability to add the forms for sex offenders to log in there and register. It'll take their photograph, and they're hoping to add the fingerprint, which will help the sheriff's office. They, will have the stuff on there, they're verifying addresses, et cetera, instead of having to meet with somebody, schedule, come back, or whatever. And then they'll be able to pay their court fines and court costs. It's connected to Wi-Fi, and then I need a power cord, which I noticed there aren't very many outlets around here, so I've gotta work with Keeps to figure that out. But if we can find a place, I'm asking if we can have permission to place that somewhere in the rotunda of the courthouse. I think probably
Best place would be the first floor.
but I don't know if there are any outlets down there, so I've gotta work with Keeps to figure that out.
We've had
Is there any-
trouble every time when we want to run.
Is there any in the north and south doors where you first walk in, first set of double doors, is there outlet right there?
I don't remember seeing it.
My next question is, how's this gonna be mounted? Is it on a pedestal?
stand.
It's got its own
Yeah,
stand?
it's on a stand probably half this size. You can come up to the courtroom later and see it. It's very small, it's not invasive. It's one piece of metal in the back, so it's not like a box like this.
You would want it in the lounge because
Well, I'm just saying
people
there
won't
might
break.
be one in the lounge, there
Right.
might be one out in that hallway. Don't
I
know.
was just thinking maybe you put it right inside
Yeah,
the door.
because there was
Walk
a
in,
refrigerator
right
out there in that hallway
Yeah,
before,
so
so
that
there was
hallway-
an outlet there in that hallway.
I
That
know where
hallway
we
right
can put
before
it.
the lounge, I
There's
think.
Put it in that
plugins
little
down
closet
there
you
because
took
Christmas
over
trees
for the
all
janitors
plugged
right
in.
there next to the server hall. They're to the left.
But there's only like 2.
Yeah, they're chained together, yeah.
Yeah, there's plugins in there because we had the vending machines in there.
Yeah.
You just have to move the supplies out. I think
Yeah.
that'd be
It's not
perfect.
really in the rotunda, that's right off of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's,
All I'm asking for is some place where the public can get to it easily once they come in the building.
well,
And
plus you're putting personal information in, so it kinda needs the private little area.
I'm in favor of it, it's just
I say we put it there,
Where to put it.
I say we put it in that, right inside, I mean, keep like the slide.
Where the vending machines used to be?
Yep.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in the hallway going to the veterans office.
Oh, yeah, that's not very private, I mean, a lot of people go in and out of the veterans office.
Well, I mean, the screen's like the size of a tablet.
Right.
So, I don't know what,
You said they're just taking photos and stuff.
well, just that they're,
So-
if they were to come, the only person to take a photo would be, you know,
Sex offender.
the sex registrants, so. Anyway, but I wanted to
If
ask,
you just wanna put it out in the rotunda, that's not.
Well, he was asking somewhere on the first floor. I think that was the perfect place for it.
if we can find one, yeah, so, I just wanted to ask you before you came in and said, what's that? You know, but then I realized there are no outlets anyway, so, I don't know.
Well, I thought we'd already given permission, you asked us before about getting them.
That was for the
That
grant.
you did, yep, and
That
we,
was for the grant.
and the grant was approved, and,
That's awesome.
and so we've got the 4 throughout the county, the others are on site, they're active. We've got a year that their fees are covered to make sure we can get people to use them, to see if we can utilize them, but the cost to keep those versus employees, especially for, you know.
Yeah, you can go to those, the other sites are probably 24/7, aren't they?
Yes. No, that's not true, the sheriff's office is, but the other 2 in the town halls are not.
So we got one over here at the sheriff's department.
Is it in the lobby of the sheriff's department?
Then why do we need one here?
Well, and maybe, so one of the things, I don't know where else we're gonna put it, one, we can send people down to pay immediately, and they don't have to, you know, go down to the clerk's office, hopefully that'll take some burden off of them. In some cases, right, some, they'll have to still go down there and process the payment, because the system probably won't know what the amount is, that quickly, right, I mean, I know it won't, so they'll still have to do that, some of that, but hope is to alleviate some of the stress on the clerk's office employees for processing payments, for people who come in, probation payments, et cetera. Plus, with probation check-ins, the offenders can come in and do what they need to do on there, and then if the officer needs to see them, they'll go and send them upstairs. So,
Okay, that makes more
because
sense.
right now, our probation officers, we have 2, they're supervising a little over 200 people per person,
Right.
and they should be 80, 70, 80.
And-
So we're trying to get some of those off, where they're, you know, that is time consuming and not necessary, where we can do that for, on the.
Look, my master, I've got almost 400 upstairs, and across the street, Community Corrections is up to 75 to 80. And that's a lot of people in trouble in our area.
We're busy all over.
Yeah, Christmas lights there.
I don't guess we don't have to put it in that little office, we can set it right there. The hallways of either one, either the,
How many of them have to go, after they do this, go to the clerk's office? Are there many of them?
To the clerk's office, probably very few, if any.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
thinking if the majority is having to go to the clerk's office, we can put it outside the clerk's office.
Yeah. No, no, hopefully that, they wouldn't have to do that, so they won't have to burden their staff with, you know, additional visits.
because if you put her outside somebody's door, they're gonna go into that office and say, hey, I'm
Hey, I
having
need help,
issues.
yeah, right. And so,
I'm sure the surveyor and
Yeah, where do you go if you have issues?
you with those, you'd have to probably come to the Superior Court office and ask, and, yeah, we can put
somebody
a.
can put a sign beside it. I still like the little room area.
Yeah, little closet room?
Yeah, but it takes away from.
Well, if you guys give me permission to work with Keith to find a spot, I can come back and say, this is where we found, whatever, but.
I say you can probably put it right outside his door right there, and just punch a hole through and put electrical box.
With the hallway going to the surveyor's office?
Or even out in the,
Is there an outlet in the little closet across the hall there for, sink? In their closet, in their sink there, or is there only sink on the other side? I forget where the sinks are.
I don't know, but Keith knows.
Yeah.
wherever you find one with Keith, and I think we'll agree with it. That's my opinion.
Do you want me to come back and present and show you where it's at?
Yeah.
I won't make you have to come back,
upstairs.
We'll talk, place it, and we'll tell you if we want to move, something like that.
That's fine. And then we come in, if you don't like it, let me know.
That sounds good to us.
That's fine.
Whatever you want it,
Okay.
get it plugged in.
Well, we appreciate you getting the grant and doing what you do to help her.
Well, we'll see, if we can use it, it'll be great, if not, then, you know, at least we're not out.
That's just for the court system though, right? Or can it be utilized for stuff later in the future?
It does have the ability to add other things as the technology on their side develops.
So this is a win-win situation, kind of.
And over the grand scheme of things, it's very inexpensive if we utilize it. Because, once we have the sex offender stuff, now, we're under contract for the year, but we think it'll probably be somewhere between $400 and $450 per month per kiosk. So we've got a year to show that we can use them, or, you know, plus we can track which units are being used in each place to say, well, we're not getting any use in the sheriff's office, so let's either eliminate that or move it. And, you know.
Where's the other two located? You said you had four?
Burlington Town Hall and the Flora Town Hall. So people down there have access, you know, in that part of the county have access to court for things, probation check-ins, community correction check-ins, some of them don't have licenses, can't drive.
What about Yeoman areas, or spot up at Yeoman, put this? Or you prefer to have one in the courthouse?
Maybe, I would prefer to have one in the courthouse for probation, but it may be something that we move on to the sheriff's office. But that's where this, you know, the majority of the sex offenders are accustomed to going.
Right.
And now
That's gonna get utilized a lot.
24 hours, I hope.
I believe so.
So hopefully we'll, you know, once we see the data of who's using it, once it actually goes, you know, live, then we'll be able to make a
Who's
vote.
in charge of watching it? Congratulations.
Yeah, one more thing, so.
So you and Keith are gonna set it in a spot.
See what happens.
With your blessing, that's what we'll do.
You got it.
Good.
Does it pass on the board?
Nope. No, but we don't own it, so if somebody steals it, they replace it. So, we'll see how they work. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Continue on with the meeting as well.
No, I told John and I said,
We're all done at the gym, is that right?
yep.
Yeah, let's go. The current design that they're working on is for 104 beds. Rick Hall, the attorney for Barnes and Thornburg, asked, when are you going to have this design ready? Is it ready now? And the answer from Elevatus was, August. Yeah, what we're doing is changing the outside of the building. I don't know why it takes clear to August to, and he did put a caveat on it, it may be a little more than that. So at the rate they've got everything else done, we may be looking at November, December before we get a design. Our current jail population, as of Thursday, was 34. We had 34 beds, we had 40 in-house and 16 up at Monticello, so we're close. Now we got 42 in-house, so we've gone up by 2 since Thursday. Of those, Toad told us that 60% roughly were out-of-county people, and 40% were Carroll County people that are in our jail. That gives you an idea of some of the problem that we have, is when we say, well, we've had the same population for 100 years, yeah, but that's not the predominant people that are in our jail, is our population. About 70% are pre-trial that are in there. When, now, Butler, Fairman, Seifert was not at the meeting, I don't believe they were invited to it. They have taken care of the easement for the water and sewer. and all that. When, El Boss was asked, and that was, Greg Whaley, when he was asked about how much is the cost of the water, the water and sewage has never been shown on, that 16.5 right there. And his only answer was several $100,000 for the water and sewage down there. Several $100,000.
I remember discussing that meeting,
Yeah, we never got a real solid answer.
because we also asked maybe UBC maybe go in partners on that to
That's right.
further develop,
That's something I have yet to find out about.
the redevelopment. Oh, I said UBC,
Yeah.
my apologies.
I got all that stuff too. There was a part of the meeting, it was before I finished up on my opinions of this, there was part of the meeting, half the meeting, we had a morning meeting and an afternoon meeting that was on broadband and on the, American Rescue Plan. We do have $3 million available, and we have half of it already paid to us, right? We'll get another one in June, July, something like that.
Dustin said May.
Huh?
May.
May?
That's what
Okay,
Dustin
we'll
said.
get the other half. It is, they go up to $10 million, but our allotment, because of our county size, I think was $3 million. Okay, and really $3 million for us, a lot more than $10 million for Tippecanoe County, you know, I mean, we did pretty good.
I think it's 3.9.
3.9? Okay, that helps a lot. The broadband is about 1.6. Is that right?
1.5.
Yeah, but by the time they put everything in, it was over 1.5.
They advertised 1.6.
1.6.
Council.
And it looks to me, from everything I see, that's a good deal.
Can we get that money back before we have to spend that?
Well, that's something I wanna talk to you about. The EDC would like to capture that money and use it for extending lines to uncovered spots by the initial thing. The example he used was, Horseshoe Bend. But they won't be hit by this, first project. So, they wanted to, and I'm talking, now about Jake Adams when he talked to us, and he did a great job of explaining it. But, there will be areas where they're gonna have to feed off of it to collect everybody. And they are requesting that as the money comes back into them, that's what they use to pay for those. That's something we have to decide, if that's how we wanna do it, or if we wanna capture the money back into our funds. Is that right, Ted?
Well, the suggestion was that it be split.
Oh, in the end there, we were talking about that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Half of it coming back to the county, half of it being retained by EDC to do the additional projects that they're
Yeah.
gonna, need to be done to.
Yeah, but how we know they're gonna use it for the broadband?
well, they have to do it in a fund just for that, and they'd have to do
That'd
accounting
be my
for it.
question. I mean,
Yeah.
EDC's got a lot of stuff going on, and they've got a lot of money already.
This would be dedicated to this broadband project. It would not go into operations or anything, any other projects.
Right.
There are reports that they have to do, and they file them with the county, correct?
Well,
On that, or,
no, the only report, I mean, the reporting that the EDC will do will just involve coming to the county. It won't involve going to the federal government or state.
We have to do the one of the federal government.
Well, ours is simplified because of this new final rule, which allows, governments to use up to $10 million of their, ARPA funds for general fund. So the monies will not be used for broadband, will not be used for any specific purpose. the money, the ARPA money will be used for general fund purposes. But that will create a hole in the budget that can be backfilled with the project.
To Steve's reply, why couldn't it just be ran through the commissioner's budget? Or ran through the commissioner's fund and not have to funnel it out to?
Why does it go to the EDC in the first place?
Why would you have to, if he was concerned about how it's being spent or whatever, and you wanted more control over the money,
Procurement. The procurement rules of the federal government are more stringent than the state.
so it could not run through the commissioner's budget.
If any budget, it would be out of the ARPA fund.
It's not out, never goes, it stays in the ARPA fund. The ARPA fund has been created, and that's where the money's going.
So why do you have to run it through the EDC then? Why doesn't it just run?
Cause they're
Because
gonna be
of
doing all the,
procurement.
yeah, they're gonna be doing,
Because of all the procurement rules of the federal government.
basically, they're gonna be doing all the legwork.
Tracy, let me copy off to you what that they are proposing that they, as far as their management agreement of it is. And then you can see everything that they're doing.
I mean, it's a good deal, and this is the first I've heard that they wanted to keep the money. Cause I thought and we get that money back and we can reuse it for other projects
Well-
that's needed.
You know, as Ted said, I'm looking at the chair, cause that's where that's where Jake was sitting, but it started out they wanted it all, and as we kicked it around and everything and said, boy, we, you know, jail money and all this stuff, why, he kinda said, well, how about half? You know, how about, you keep, said half, go back to you, and we'll keep half of it for that.
So 3.6 million we got it. I'd do a third, I don't know if I'd do half.
No, on the 1.6 that they're
1.6,
going to do.
yeah.
And it's not even 1.6, council decided to
Right,
up it
right.
to, but they want to be, EDC wants to be protected on their advisory costs and things like that. That's a little bit above the broadband. But anyway, the broadband money would be recouped here, and it would be, I guess, one half to the county and one half to the EDC. Because we're not doing it the way EDC originally wanted it, for them to just take it and do the reporting, that's where I got the reporting. Do all the reporting and everything, and then give it to me, for me to then give it to the feds.
I love this idea of getting everybody broadband, because we got students out here that can't do e-learning,
Yeah.
and they're not getting their homeworks done.
People work at home too.
Exactly. A lot of people wanna work from home,
Yep.
so I'm still in favor of it, and I love the idea. But I was wondering how we were gonna get these places in the bends and these lower.
That's how they're wanting to do it. Tracy?
So here's what I understand from it, I just wanna make sure. So the 1.6 million will go out, but it is reimbursable.
Yes.
But there are some locations, as such, Horseshoe Bend, Tecumseh Bend, the really bad areas, they wanna keep half of the 1.6 million that's reimbursable to take care of those areas.
That's, I think you said it the way I understand it.
But if there's power, because this runs through the power lines, so if you have power lines running to those areas, why is it going to be difficult to run through the power lines?
They'll run from the poles, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So why is Horseshoe and Tecumseh and those affected areas not going to be in the?
The copy of that belt, it doesn't include some of those areas, so they wanna go out to
Basically,
the,
So they're
Ones
doing
that-
it in sections.
kind
The
of.
1.6 million is to put the broadband all the way around Carroll County and feed it in. So like if you lose power where you live,
Except certain sections.
There are some lines.
Right.
In addition to the.
Well, if you're not in
right,
that
they're,
belt.
they're feeding the big sections like the towns and stuff. So like where you live, if you would have it and you go out, they flip a switch somewhere else and you're gonna be out of service maybe 10 minutes, if that, after you've reported.
That's the amount of money that the broadband company can put into the project. So there are limits to what they can put in for that 1.5 million.
Cause right now I see Florida's getting the broadband
Yeah,
under a different,
non-exclusive, you know, these are non-exclusive, the state's divvying up.
right.
And those aren't exclusive. they will cherry pick the areas that they wanna serve, these other companies.
Right.
This will not be cherry picking who gets broadband. This will be for the people,
For the people.
for the people.
But if you'll notice on that map, the bends, the river, the people that have nothing except HughesNet right now are not included in this. And so I have a
But
lot
like
of
right here,
constituents
this is
call-
part of the broadband, this is how I understand it, the ring. And so when they get this done, then they want to advance on out to these people off of that band.
So as long as
They
the
cap off on
advancement
it.
is included, and that they're gonna move out, and you know, some kind of timeline in that, but I have people wanting to know, why aren't we included in this when we are mostly the ones affected by this?
There's a limit to the amount of money available to do it. It's
And
not.
it's such a small area that they did not take and put in that map.
I mean, it's a
It's
good
bigger,
concern.
it's a
Yeah.
bigger than you.
But we have to start somewhere, that's the thing. And I think once they get the ring installed and these main veins going through, then it'll start trickling faster to the other
You
places.
see, a lot of these areas here don't have any of those out.
But I think that's questions that need to be asked.
Yeah, well, I asked that
It's like the
question,
main-
how long it would take to get to the other people. This here has to be done within 3 years to get our money back. Guaranteed gotta be done within 3 years to get our ARP money back. Then after that, they said they would start filtering in off of those branches to,
So it could be 5 to 8 years.
could
At
be,
least.
yeah,
Well, their timeline to do the fiber
is
is on 24 months.
24 months, yeah.
2 years, and then they said they would go directly into.
And this is a co-op, so they're,
I'm not opposed to it, I'm getting information to take
Right.
back, because the information is,
and I asked
when
the
you
pricing
say
on it.
all of
it's
Carroll
blue.
County, that's what people hear, and you just said all of Carroll County, but that is not what we're doing the first phase.
No, it's gonna have to take some time to get to them.
Scott? Jake initially, if I'm not mistaken, made the comment, if you have power to your house, you'll have broadband.
Right.
Now, does that mean it runs on the power line
Yes.
or beside the power line?
It depends, so some people got electrical boxes in the ground, like out here at that new addition they're doing. Some of them will have to be in ground,
Uh-huh.
and some of it's gonna be run on the power poles.
Right.
And they even got the agreement with the opposite, like Duke and whoever else we have,
Right.
to use their power lines to run this cable. So, it's just time to take it and hang it, like that, she said 24 months to get this ring done.
So that was another question I had, I forgot to ask too. So, a lot of people have REMC up in my area, and then a lot of people have, NIPSCO. So they will work with both companies.
Right, they've already got the agreements, the way I understood them when they talked.
All right.
See, like, I live in Camden, I got RMC, and my neighbor's got Duke right across the street, I mean, the
Right.
alley.
Yeah, that's.
Same pole, but it's just,
Yeah. All right, thank you.
it's weird, I don't know how they keep track. Got that other question.
Scott, yeah.
I might ask Ted this question. On the funds that get reimbursed, does the commissioners and the council still have appropriation powers on those funds that come back?
Of course, the council always has appropriation power.
Not with EDC money.
Well,
Not
there'll be a
everything.
grant, you ask if the money that comes back to the county.
Count.
And that's what we're saying, if you give half reimbursable to EDC, half reimbursable to the county, the EDC has responsibility of the half that comes back, and the county has responsibility of the other
Correct.
half.
And the part that the EDC retains will be dedicated to last mile projects.
Connectivity.
And I think that's in the contract, it will be stated in the contract.
Yeah.
It'll
But
be a
now,
grant agreement.
we have to spend those monies by 2026, right? So, we can't just keep them for
No.
whatever.
No,
They have to be
But will the EDC fall under those same guidelines where they have to spend it?
If it, yes,
By
because it's in that
2026.
grant contract,
Okay, all right.
I believe. I don't know.
Miriam?
that fact.
I think we're getting
ARPA versus, budget loss monies. If we spend it out of ARPA, then all that reporting and timeline is required, but if we spend it through the budget loss appropriations, I don't believe that timeline is as strict.
That's right. I think that's right.
And my understanding is that Mr. Johnson is recommending that you do the second loss,
Yeah.
budget loss.
Yeah. So are you saying that we wouldn't have to spend it by 26? Is that a part of that, or?
You'd have to spend the first amount, no, correct, because you'd be spending from your budget by 2026. And the other is just additional appropriations.
Okay.
That's correct.
So if we claim lost revenue, that takes away all the timeline estimations.
On the half that goes to EDC.
Well, on all
All
of
of
it,
it.
on all
I
of it.
believe we still have the deadlines to go, I believe
They
that's
changed
what
the
Dustin.
rules.
I don't know
That's
how you
the
guys
case
keep
you
track
have
of
to
it.
put the money back in your
Right.
That
But
poor
we
guy
have-
came here and talked to us.
We've done it
I
the
don't know
first
how
time.
he keeps track of all
We
that.
don't have to do what's
I bet
coming
he's
back,
got a book.
just the first time
Well,
we're
they-
giving that, like if we give something
Somebody's
to
got a
Doug,
book
we have to
that
say
long.
that, you know, we've gotta,
He has very
we
good
gotta
mastery of
report
it.
all what we do.
Yes.
No, that's not to say that you would want.
And anybody that wants a copy of this,
Yeah, because you don't want to do this.
funding, this proposal by, economic development, can certainly have one. Okay?
I think it's a good idea. I just didn't know anything about the half part of it, but if it's gonna help get to these people who's not originally there. I've had a lot of people comment saying, hey, we need this, we want this, and I'm like, well, we're trying.
ARPA's gonna be used to replace lost revenue. And lost revenue is presumed, under this final rule, to be up to $10 million. So ARPA is going to be used to replace Carroll County's presumed revenue loss from its, up, by its general fund, up to the full amount that we received from ARPA.
Which is 3.9.
The general fund, through additional appropriations, will fund anything that the county, the commissioners, approve and the council appropriate. The grant agreement with the EDC will be between the Board of Commissioners and the EDC.
Okay? Now, that ties all in with the jail because my eyes light up when I see that there's some extra money in there that could be used on for the jail. Depending on how much we fund, say the ambulance or Flora or those other requests that we have. If we do one